What is up, guys? Welcome back to Late to the Party. I'm Isaac.
Oh, are we starting now? Is it time?
Yeah, it's time.
Oh, you're logged on and ready to go. Oh, I was confused. My bad, dude. Sorry. See, I thought we were starting at 9:30, but it's like 10:30, 11. I don't know. My bad. Hey, my bad, bro. My bad. I misunderstood what was happening. That's my bad,
What's
dude.
your name?
What's your name? What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Late to the Party. I'm your host this week, Isaac. We have Nate the Great. We have the Scotts, Liz, and Josh. We have my fellow caveman, funny man Jason Lego, and Gorilla Boy Jose. This is where we watch a film that's at least 10 years or older. And this week's film is 1979's Alien, directed by Ridley Scott. This movie starring Sigourney Weaver, Tom Skerritt, Harry Dean Stanton, Yaphet Kotto, E.M. Holm, John Hurt, and Veronica Cartwright. This has a 98% score on Rotten Tomatoes and an 89 audience score. Let's give a small rundown of what it is. The year is 2122. We find ourselves in deep space. We have a crew on this commercial starship known as, I don't know how to pronounce the name of the starship, guys.
Nostromo.
So they're all awakened from their cryo sleep capsules halfway through their journey back home when they get a distress call from an alien vessel. The terror begins when one of the crew members encounters a nest of eggs inside the alien ship that they discover. And an organism from inside leaps on, not onto the chest, not onto his shoulder like Liz has on her shoulder, but onto its face. It attaches itself and causes him to fall into a coma, where we have a nice, just terrifying run about the ship. Let's start with Nate. How old were you when you watched this film?
Well, I was 4 when it came out, but I was quite a bit older. I actually saw Aliens first, the sequel to this, and then I ended up watching this afterwards. But I want to say I was like maybe 9 or 10.
All right. And what'd you think of it that age?
Well, the Aliens scared the living shit out of me. Like, I was like watching it from behind the covers the whole time and hiding and peeking. And after that one, this one wasn't as scary, but I was still scared. When you use it in horror, that quiet and that suspense building, it's a lot more effective than a car ride. Yeah,
for sure. Because that's basically when it was first brought out, it was made as in horror. With the posters, when it said in space, no one hears you scream. And then the tone of the alien, the way he's stalking them, it was very Michael Myers-ish to me. Scott's, same question.
I saw it when I was probably the same age as Nate, and I think I was around 10 years old. And I saw Alien before I saw Aliens. My dad is a big horror, sci-fi, B-rated, everything, F-rated, horror across the board. So this was one of the ones that, he sat me down and watched. I watched with him. I'm the horror girl in the house with him, it scared the bejesus out of me. It was, but the positive side out of it is I think it gave me my love of orange ginger cats. So. Because I got a couple of those bad boys running around. It was intense. Some of those scenes and stuff. I remember there wasn't a lot of music in this one. It was like just the regular, and that's what also freaked me out. Because I'm also, you hear all the building and the suspense of the music and stuff, and there wasn't a lot of this in this one. I remember that.
I didn't see this movie until I was in high school. surprisingly, when I grew up, I was relatively sheltered from all of that. My mom was a hippie, so she filled me with peace and love. And so
that worked out.
it worked out great. It worked out fantastic. Peace and love. So I didn't see this until I was in high school. And like Nate, I saw Aliens before I saw Alien, because, you know, when you're a young guy and you got all that testosterone pumping through your veins, what you want to see is a bunch of dudes blasting away at stuff and not, you know, half ugly people creeping around on a starship, getting stalked by something. That's not really what you want to see blood and guts. So, because I saw Aliens first, Alien, like Nate, it wasn't as terrifying for me. Now I can appreciate it for what it was, but I think as a young man, I didn't care for it much.
Nice. Jose, go for it.
I was 32 years old when I finally saw this movie beginning to end. I had seen parts of it, but to be really honest with you, and this is where you guys are just going to laugh, I didn't know that Aliens was the sequel. I thought it was Aliens and then the other movies, Alien, like all the rest, Resurrection and all of those. I didn't know that Alien was the very first one. I see what they did there, but yeah, and then I was like, what? I for some reason, I always thought Aliens and Alien were the same for some reason. And then I finally sat down and watched this whole thing entirely, and I said, wow, I have never watched this from beginning to end in one sitting. So
you had an epiphany today?
I am 32, Nate. Yes.
Was your confusion on Alien and Aliens because English is a second languge?
Wow.
It is.
I was like, right here, folks.
I was going in there thinking I was gonna see like a movie about like, you know, immigration or something, and it ends up being in space, and so I was like, this is even better.
Más mejor.
I don't understand why these aliens are they're widely accepted more than I am. So
were you saying like, I don't know what the problem is, why don't they just call Amiga?
Lego.
So you're telling me I could have snuck in through somebody's chest?
Oh my god. Take control, Isaac.
Allowing it. This is what.
No, but it was good, dude. I really, really, really enjoyed it. I loved it. It was awesome.
This was also my first time watching it front to back. I've only watched
front to back.
I've only watched it in pieces, never entirely, and I really appreciated it a lot.
Yeah, I love what they did with sound, like Nate was saying, with sound and silence. How some scenes would be quiet as hell, like when they cut back between them exploring on the planet, the winds and the rain and the rocks, everything just, and then you cut back and he's looking and he's inside the ship, kind of watching them, and it just goes from loud to quiet, loud to quiet. I love how they play with sound and the absence of sound. It was beautiful.
Lego, same question.
I watched this as a kid. That probably explains a lot. But this one is cool, man. It feels like a trip down memory lane every time I watch it. It's so good. Every time I watch it, I'm like, oh man, oh that's cool. Oh, that scene. Like, I was sitting there and I'm thinking, what's my favorite scene? And literally, like the first opening scene, I was like, that's my favorite scene. And then we get to the next part, and I'm like, that's my favorite scene. And then we get to the next part, I'm like, that's my favorite scene. And it's just, the whole movie is just so damn good. Yeah. It's so well constructed, and it just, like, start to finish, it's just really engaging. So I loved it as a kid, and I still love it.
Nice. Nate, does this movie hold up?
It mostly holds up, but there was a few scenes. The scene had to deal with I can't remember his name now, the robot dude, when they're situating his head to get him to talk.
Ash. His name was Ash.
Yeah. Well, how did I not remember Ash? That's too much weed in the 90s.
Bilbo.
Bilbo.
when they were situating his head, and the face is so obviously rubberly fake, and then that crappy cut, and then to the head poking through the hole in the counter, it was just like, man, the effects are so good. The alien effects, the dripping drool and the silver, like everything is so good. To pass that part off, it was a cringe. So like they've done a better job with the other movies as far as the effects, but where the newer alien movies are lacking, I think it's that they just do that fast now. Like they removed all of the, like, oh, there's just a face hugger. Like they just brush over all of that stuff. And, you know, there was something to the original, you know, the life cycle of that creature. And then what's crazy is if that face hugger got a hold of a cat, the next alien would be cat-like. So that's cool. But for the most part, I want to say 95% of this movie would hold up. What I wouldn't want, and I think Josh would agree, would be to see them have a special edition where they made it wiggle and jiggle a little bit more, like a la Lucas.
Wiggle and jiggle. Liz, what's your favorite scene of this movie?
That's hard. That's Josh, what's your favorite scene? Because I don't know, like Lego was saying, it's one of those things where you're like, okay, this is a good scene. Okay, that was cool. You know what? No, I'm just gonna go for it because you asked me first. It's the chestbuster scene. That whole scene right there. I mean, it sets. You're not the build up to it. The coughing. The way that it was filmed, because I watched like the behind the scenes thing. They didn't let some of the actors know what was gonna happen. They obviously told John Hurt, and I think they told Scarrett and the guy who plays Parker, because they were the ones that had to hold him down. But the rest of them, they didn't tell what was going to happen. And when you see Veronica Cartwright get hit with all of that blood and that look on her, that was like a real thing. In fact, she fell behind. There was like a couch or something or a chair, and she fell behind it. That's why they had to cut it the way they did, where you don't see her back again, because like she got so scared and didn't know what was going on. It messed her up for a bit. They had to like take a breather between the next take because everybody knew what was going to happen the second time around. But yeah, dude, that chestbuster scene, you're just like, when it first comes out, like, well, it doesn't come out all the way, but like that first impact, you're like, what the hell just happened here? And you just see the spray of blood, like the blood. Mm-hmm. And then the alien comes out and you're just like, okay, well, he's kind of small. What's he going to do? You know what I mean? Like, wait, but is he going to turn into that big thing that they saw on the ship? Or is he going to, like, yeah, there's all that. And then he just kind of gives them the finger and then runs off.
In terms of my favorite scene, it's hard to pick because this movie has so many things that are iconic that have gone on to other films. But I remember when I first saw this, the scene that always intrigued me the most is when they go onto the alien vessel and they find that giant alien strapped into that seat where the chest had busted open from the inside, and they're kind of like examining it. And I always wanted to know, like, what the hell was that guy's story? And we really didn't get anything for that until Prometheus came around, which I still haven't seen.
Yeah.
I watched Prometheus before this, and I finally saw that, and I was like, oh, that's why that scene was so iconic of the big engineer going there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I didn't, I always wanted to know, like, what's the story behind this giant alien that's like strapped into this chair, but we don't really get anything in Alien for it. So we had to wait, 40 years to get that?
About.
Something like
That was so cool, though. That scene totally set up like the whole movie. I mean, you see that guy and he's like, he looks like he's part of the ship almost, he's totally integrated with the machine. And I feel like that's kind of like maybe a bit of the undertone of this movie is like, what are we doing with our machines? What's happening with this industrial, like how do we relate to it?
that's where my question to you, Lego, is going to be: who was Mother?
Who was Mother?
Yeah, who was Mother? In your opinion, who was Mother?
Hal.
Right.
Mother just felt like corporate, man. It's got all the answers, but none of them are useful. You know, they'll always give you a.
It's like get the specimen at any cost. Everybody's expendable.
Right. Mother has all the answers, but none of the morals.
Yeah.
Yes. I like too that it was Mother. You know, it's so it's such like a warm. You can never go against your mother. You can never speak ill of your mother. You know, right?
Yeah.
So I like that the corporate is really bringing that in and really choosing the name of the entity in a really smart way.
Like the Clean Skies Act?
Huh?
I'm not familiar.
It's just like when they reduce regulations to where you can pollute more, they call it the Clean Skies Act.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Jose,
Perfect.
seen it for the first time, did it trip you out that Ash was an android?
I thought that was great. It especially when he's describing why they have such interest in the alien itself, when he's like, it's cold, it's like it kills with no remorse. It has all of these, pros, there's no cons, and it's like it's essentially describing a machine. It's describing Mother in the end. It's like it's like Mother. It's gonna kill no matter. It's gonna obtain. It's whatever its goal is. It's gonna get it at any cost, and it doesn't matter what you have to say or what you feel or what you believe. It's gonna. If it wants to kill you, it's gonna kill you. And it's like, how's that any different from what you just described of what what the machines are? Yeah. I just thought that was a pretty cool. Like, oh, all right. I want to say I was a little surprised, even though I had seen that scene before, where they have him on the table, his head's there, and I had seen as much where they burn him, so I kind of knew where it was going. I just loved how they set it up though, because for what is it, like an hour something until it's revealed, I had forgotten that he was an android until it got to that. So it once again, it did a great job of making me forget what I already knew, and presenting it the way it did. I liked it.
When you go back and you see it and watch it now, you're like, oh yeah, there's like these slow little pieces. There's the scene where he's fixed. He's like, why are my hands feeling weird? And he just warms them up, thinking that's a natural thing. Your hands feel a little stiff. Let's just warm them up, And then he does that little jog really quick when he's doing that too, and he's looking around to make sure nobody's watching, and he does this little jog in place thing, and it's like you can almost hear the servos moving in his body. It was kind of weird how I didn't notice it before. And then when he's talking about how he's talking to Mother, how they're collating. He's using robotic terms when he's processing stuff too. And I was like, oh yeah, I never really picked up on that until this time around. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, one of my favorite things is when they're first all having breakfast after they woke, and Kane's all, I feel dead. And it was just like a nice foreshadowing of his character, because he's the first one awake, and then he's the first one to talk about dying, and then he just goes, and that face hugger gets him, and that was gnarly the way the face hugger would just I forgot how badass that was.
It's creepy. It's like a snake, spider, crab. You could see it, the gills breathing for it. Was just
A funny little story is my daughter's into Australian stuff, and she was showing Lego about just spiders, and I didn't see what spider she was showing, and then she shows somebody took a picture of a face hugger in their kitchen, and she's all, Lego, look at this spider, and he's like, Gwen, that's not real. That's from Alien.
You know what else I really liked upon watching it for the first time, knowing that there's sequels, how well they gave you just enough to want to keep coming and revisiting the story further down the line. Like what Josh pointed out, like the whole engineer with the chest coming out. We obviously got those answers in the future. But if you remember, some of those guys, they asked like, "Oh, did you find the body?" And they said, "No, the body's gone." And it's like, "What?" And they're like, it kind of makes you think like all along the way, like, well, wait, why is it taking the bodies? Like, why wouldn't it just leave them there? So you know that this creature has another goal in mind, which we later find out don't they use the bodies to reproduce? So just those, like today's sequels, they give you like an after credit scene, or they give you, they kind of hit it on the nose, like, hey, we're gonna make a sequel. This is, they kind of give you that feeling. And with this movie, it was just enough to where it's like, oh man, that's how that's gonna lead to that. And it was just kind of going back and thinking like they did that so well, leaving it open for sequels without actually being too obvious, without making it obvious. Sorry.
Thanks. All right, we're going to the buckets, starting with Nate.
Oh, this is a great movie. This is a 10 bucket movie for me for sure. Super iconic. Everything about this, it was like the antithesis of 2001, with all of the white and the bright and the quiet and the humming. We talked about the sound already. That was in effect, but it's just like, man, if I ever get a chance to hang out with Elon Musk and design a spaceship, it's not going to have a bunch of dark, cavernous tubes for shit to go hide in and attack you. It's not going to be the way to do it.
What about a few chains?
Right?
It's like Hellraiser's spaceship.
Right. That's what I was thinking.
Man. And then you get in, and then you go see Mother, and they pay the homage to 2001. It's back in the white, and it's enclosed, and you can almost imagine. Now, you don't hear it, but you can imagine just there being like Bach playing in the background or something. So yeah, this it had all the right stuff. Acting, directing. Sigourney Weaver was super young and hot in this one. Special effects. And you talk about the movie leaving a fingerprint on pop culture. Man, this is like a whole freaking body print on pop culture. There's more alien movies than you can shake a stick at. So it's all over with this one. I mean, this is almost like 12 buckets.
Nice. Scott's.
This is a definite 10 bucket movie for me too. Like, everybody always asks, are you a cat person or you a dog person? Are you a alien or a predator person? I am definitely an alien person. I always have been. I've got them all over the house, much to Josh's chagrin. Yeah, definitely 10 buckets. It left, like I said, it left some kind of impression on me at 10 years old, because I have ginger cats running around and I can't help but pick them up every time I see them.
Psychological scar.
That's right. They were predisposing me towards rescuing ginger cats. Yeah, I mean, this, again, like what everything Nate said: music, acting, directing, special effects. It's everything that. And it's interesting because it came out like right after Star Wars.
2 years after.
Yeah, and so my dad was telling stories because he saw it in the movie theater, and he was just like, yeah, everybody's like, oh, this is going to be a great one. This is going to be like Star Wars. It's going to be Star Wars. And they're waiting in line. My dad and his friends and my mom were all waiting in line. And they're like, yeah, we heard this is like Star Wars. And like people coming out of the theater that had just seen it overheard them saying that, and people in line talking about that. And then they just start laughing at them because they know this is not Star Wars.
Horror movie.
This is not that movie. So yeah, dude, 10 all the way.
Yeah, how do you say it's not 10 buckets? I think so many movies that came out of this era between like 75 and 85 are just, that was like the peak era for movie making during this time, because a lot of those films move forward into other films and genres as we go on. And look at the legacy of the Alien movies. I mean, how many movies have they done with these xenomorphs in it? It's almost uncountable, and they keep crossing over into other things.
Comics.
Yeah, comics. Well, I mean, but showing up in other things. I mean, the first time we even got a hint that there might be like crossovers coming was in the second Predator movie where they had like the Xenomorph stuff on their ship and things like that. So it's it's easily a 10 out of 10. There's just no question about it.
Lego.
This might surprise you guys.
While she was sleeping.
Me as well. I really love it. It's so good, and going back with an adult mind and kind of just getting past the oh, that's a freaky alien of, you know, my youth. It's like, man, like the alien personifies the ship, and there's so many cool designs, and even in the helmet, like I paused the movie and I was just tripping on Sigourney's space helmet for like 5 minutes because there's just detail like carved into every inch of it. And like,
I have to paused around there too.
It's so good. And it's like, man, somebody sat there and carved it out and did. You may have paused 1 minute before me.
Right.
I think it may have been at exactly 1 hour and 29 minutes and 13 seconds.
Hey, Mr. Skin over here.
But yeah, dude, it's just visually, it was so insane. It's so damn good. And like, you could pick apart anything in this movie and just come away with a master class on how to make a great movie. Except when the Nostromo explodes. That was a bit of a letdown. just slice it on the
table. Lego, what did you think about the head on the table? You were disappointed with that one too?
Head on the table. When he was getting.
Well, I just like she had it upside down, and you saw like the albino seaweed coming out of his neck to the torso.
Oh yeah.
Then you can see the face is so obviously fake, and then they turn it up like everything is so good that point, that part of it was just like like it was, oh man, it was so like everything is so good, and it was just like it was like the end of Game of Thrones where they set this beautiful thing up. It's glorious, and then they're just like
I'm kind of with you on that, dude. It was very obvious. It was very much like, oh, hey, we're still watching a movie. It totally took me out of it, but it was still cool enough and like gory enough in a way that I can let that one go.
100%. I still give it 10.
Yeah, it was kind of. It was obviously bad, and it makes you wonder what happened. It's like, did they not press record when they were originally filming it, and they had to like redo it, or like what happened? Because the rest of the movie, like you said, is so good, and something weird must have happened where they had to kind of make it up somehow.
Imagine the fabrication and went into those hallways and the models for the ships.
I got the feel of the Millennium Falcon when you first see all that white on the wall. Like that was like straight up Millennium Falcon insides.
Yeah.
Like just the amount of time, $11 million budget, like and then for just that head scene, I was just like, really? Like, really? I would have just been okay if the head would have just been there without the turning of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They could have found a way to like not cut that together, or just like, you know, like that seems like an editing mistake, you know, more than anything. And especially too, because it's the head's like right here, and then it's like right here. And it's like, oh man, like you couldn't even line it up, like like just move the frame. Come on, dude. Like who is I don't know. Maybe somebody got
how many buckets?
Wait, who's asking?
Jose, how many buckets?
Oh, come on, buddy. Even though I'm a Predator guy. This is a 10 out of 10, baby. You got it all. You got it all. It's stood the test of time. You don't need to remake it. Just keep making more horrible sequels. You know, it is what it is. It's beautiful. It's like Lego said, it's a masterclass of filmmaking. It's got it all. It's 10 out of 10.
Nice. And it's
I can't wait to let my kids see it.
Oh, you didn't watch it with the kids?
No, they fell asleep.
I watched it with
And Isaiah had the
they
covers
couldn't
over
sleep
his
for
eyes.
days.
Yeah.
They're both sleeping on my bed. I sleep on a little cot now. Little do they know I'm gonna make one of them alien xenomorph costumes and scare the shit out of them. All right.
Memories.
We're gonna move hosting duties to Liz. Liz, what do you got?
All right. So, in a time-honored tradition of let's give you categories, we have Yar, and we have I'm not saying it was aliens, but so those are the two categories you guys get.
Do we want to stay in space or do we want to hit the 7 seas?
It could be butt
You gotta tell
pirates.
me.
Butt pirates.
Wow. How do you see my list?
Oh,
Arr. Who else goes arr?
Yar. I just want to talk to the pirate.
what you guys got?
I'm down for pirates.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so
Arr.
wait for the pirates. All right, we have on our list, of course, the classic Captain Blood. That's out there.
1935.
1935.
Is it a talkie?
Damn.
It
It
is
is.
a talking, but it is black and white. But you don't have to read it; you can actually watch it.
Is this a
Errol
Let's
Flynn.
Find It movie?
No, that one's on Amazon actually. So fucking
Is it
find it
real?
on Amazon, fool.
It's not. Is it like Amazon or $5 Amazon?
No, I think it's Amazon.
Okay.
What's it
I'm
called?
right. Captain Blood. I don't know. Might be the $3.99 one. I'll reimburse you if you pick that one. Good Lord. The next one is Cutthroat Island, starring Matthew Modine and Gina Davis.
Davis.
Ooh, that's a
And
stinker.
that one is also on Amazon, and that's free.
I wonder why.
Hey, you haven't seen it? Don't talk about it yet. The next one and the final one in the category is, of course, Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl, which can be found on Disney Plus. So those are your three options: Curse of the Black Pearl, Cutthroat Island, or Captain Blood.
Captain Blood, you have to buy.
Okay, well then don't pick that one. I had to come up with a third pirate movie.
Let's. You know what? Let's go bad. Let's do Gina Davis.
Cutthroat Island. I picked that one too.
Yeah, let's do Cutthroat Island. I've never seen it. I've never seen it.
Cutthroat Island, starring Gina
I've never
Davis.
seen it either, but it has such a horrible reputation. You could tell by the smile on Josh's face.
Hey, we own it on DVD. That's how much he likes it.
1995.
Yeah.
Yep, that was one of our date movies.
Mhm.
That's probably why we own it, not because it's good. So there you go. Next week we'll be reviewing Cutthroat Island.
On Amazon Prime.
On
If you
Amazon.
want, you could join in and watch the movie and come back to us next week. Until then, I'm Isaac.
I'm Jason.
I'm Jose.
I'm Liz.
And Josh.
And I'm Nate.
And we're late to the party. Out.
Bye.